Well, the final showdown of the federal election campaign saw Anthony Albanese and Peter Dutton facing off last night, with the cost of living, tax cuts and welcome to country on the agenda.
Honestly, this whole campaign, it's hard to believe anything you say. And this is the case, obviously, with the $275. You've never mentioned it again.
Well, Peter can attack me, but I tell you what I won't let him do. I won't let him attack the wages of working people. I won't let him attack the changes that we've put in place for cheaper childcare. I won't let him abandon free TAFE so that people can get an opportunity in life.
Now, the debate saw the leaders resorting to pointed personal attacks as they scramble for those last-minute votes.
And for more on this morning, we're joined by Michael Usher, who, of course, hosted a special edition of Spotlight immediately after the clash. OK, Michael, a lot of people said that they felt it seemed that they were both a little bit over it at this stage of the race. You're in the room, though, and there's often a different feeling when you're actually in the studio. So what was it like?
I'd say there was a different vibe because I think both the leaders came to make their points. I think at times you saw Peter Dutton get frustrated. You saw Anthony Albanese get a little frustrated as well, but he's very good at getting back on point and probably talking a little longer, giving more narrative, a storyline to what he's trying to say. But no, look, behind the scenes, it's always fascinating to watch how they turn up because they come with an entourage and there's security, and each of them have got about 30 people. So they fill the room pretty quickly. A lot of people in their ears, giving them final talking points, making sure that they're staying on their messages as well. But both of them were very calm, and I think, you know, most of our audience would probably like to hear that behind the scenes it's pretty cordial. You know, they do actually like each other as politicians. They like the jobs that they do. But when the cameras are on and they've got to go head-to-head and make their very different points, you know, at times it got personal and a bit testy there.
Yeah, 60 undecided voters who gave us this pulse reacting to both the leaders. What did we learn from that? What did we get from that?
I found it fascinating. I mean, we deliberately chose, we got Roy Morgan, the research group, to choose 60. There they are, the undecided voters, because as we all know, a lot of people during this campaign are saying, what's the difference between the two of them? What are they actually saying? Where's the policy that's going to change my life and make life a bit cheaper? So those people, we gave the task last night of trying to work it out. It was interesting. As we know, they gave Albanese the overall vote, but we got them to break it down into the individual topics along the lines of what Mark Riley was asking them. So cost of living, Albo won. Defence, Peter Dutton won quite convincingly. Housing surprised me, Larry, because that's the topic that concerns a lot of Australians, the affordability of housing, getting your first house. But it was pretty line ball. They didn't really buy either of them. Yeah. They didn't say that Albo had a great policy, and he's been saying he's got this amazing policy to build, you know, hundreds of thousands of homes. They didn't seem to be buying that in the room last night at all. And then we got to some of the other topics that got them a bit more revved up, like the price of a carton of eggs. So.
Yes, well, I mean, let's take a look at that because obviously that was a bit of a moment. Let's have a look.
Here is a dozen eggs. Mr Dutton, do you know how much they cost?
About $4.20.
No, you might get half a dozen.
There you go. It's the Sunny Queen 12 eggs from Woolies. They're $8.80 from Coles. They're slightly cheaper at about $8.50.
What do you think, though? Does this cost him a slip-up like this, or do people sort of... I mean, at the end of the day, naming, being able to name, price-check everything isn't really the job?
I guess it's a good question to ask because how in touch are our leaders? You know, they're making great big decisions and they're talking hundreds of billions of dollars in all their other policies. But do they know the basics? Do they know what the voters are actually going through every day and buying bread, milk, fuel, you know, a dozen eggs? So it goes to that point. Do we reasonably expect both of those men, in the lives they lead, with their entourages and security, to be going shopping at any time soon to know what the current price is? I don't know. But they've got a team of people that could have told them. By the way, before you go into these sort of debates and, you know, bits and pieces, know some basics. Look, Albo was a bit closer to the mark. Dutton was way off it. I saw a dozen eggs for $13 the other day. I wouldn't have gone near them. So.
And I don't think either of them are making pancakes for breakfast at the moment. They've got other things on their mind.
I did get a couple of texts at that time last night saying, hey, they're playing The Price is Right on the debate. So, I mean, you do know next time, you know, I'm here, right? I'm right here on the network, mate.
There was your segment. Hey, what are you doing Saturday night? Do you want to come along to the election coverage?
Any big surprises for you last night?
Yeah, look, the headline for me, and when we finally polled the undecided voters and they came in with the clear Albo win, but the headline to me was 25% of them are still undecided. And I don't think I'm no Mark Riley here, but I don't think they're going to shift and actually go for either of the leaders at the end of the day. I think that's all going to go to independents in various seats, or just give me an alternative and we'll work it out next election and see who's got a better alternative then. I don't think those people are going to come around in the next 5 or so days now and say, well, I've thought harder about it. They've suddenly given me some policy that I can analyse and think about. I think they're running away from the major parties.
Yeah. It did get a little bit nasty at times too. I mean, they clashed
with the leaders or with
things.
all of us behind the scenes?
With all of us always.
It's
television.
It's trouble.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I'm terrified. Don't say anything bad about me. No, but between the leaders, there is some tension. I know you
They're
said
frustrated.
cordial. Yeah, they are.
They're frustrated.
At that point.
I mean, I had Katie Gallagher, the finance minister, on with me in the after show. And she was making the point, as is the Labor messaging, that Dutton came across aggro. And I said, look, I know you like using the word aggro on Peter Dutton. I don't see it that way sometimes. I see him as maybe not as calmly putting his point across as Anthony Albanese does. But does he wind himself up and get aggro? No, I think he was frustrated and he's left it too late here, and he's trying to get some ground as hard as he can in the last week to try and get his point across. Okay. And they did, look, they got personal at times. You could see Anthony Albanese getting frustrated. He didn't like when Nat and Mark Riley brought up the image of the home that he's bought with his partner Jodie. And he sort of wanted to clarify that again. So there's frustration between the two of them.
Things are a little nasty. There are a couple of points in there, right? We've got to take a look at this moment that they clashed over nuclear power versus battery storage. Have a look at this.
I don't know how Peter thinks that water works. When it's not raining, people turn on the tap and the water's there. That's the same way that you can store energy, and that is what is happening. In WA, we'll be completely coal-fired power-free, renewables, backed by gas, backed by batteries and
You're
backed
going to wreck
by
this
hydro
economy if you keep going with this, Prime Minister.
Well, Peter,
you will wreck the economy.
Peter Dutton needed to land some punches last night. Did he?
He did, and on that point I think he did. He's a bit hamstrung there because he got us all thinking about nuclear energy, but during the campaign he hasn't really wanted to go near it or explain it anymore or say that this is a rock-solid thing we're going to do. He landed some punches particularly to do with Indigenous affairs and welcome to country. Now, that's come up this week because of the Anzac Day ceremony. It's in the Australian narrative. The people we spoke to around the country last night in various pubs tended to agree with Peter Dutton's point. Peter Dutton's words, it's overdone, the use of the welcome to countries at all sorts of ceremonies around Australia. On that, our undecided voters said that he had a win on that one. And that may well become a theme this week in the final week of the campaign as well. Yeah. We'll wait and see.
Time will tell. We're in
well,
the
there's
final
not much time
gasps
left, but
now.
Yeah, it's exciting. Look, from where we all sit, I love this week and heading into elections. So.
Yeah,
well, I'll have my teeth whitened and get my shiny suit out for Saturday night for the price.
You're on.
Thank you, mate. Good to see you, mate. Great coverage last night.
Thanks a lot.